right now, even though Donald Trump has confirmed it was a mistake, they're convinced it was either malicious or that it was a deep state plot, that there was something happening. Y'all, I can't even with the conspiratorial people. There is a level of political idolatry in the country where you can look at this and think this is the worst thing ever. My side would never do this. Or you can look at this and say the other side's incompetent. My side plays 7-dimensional or 9-dimensional chess, and you're just too stupid to realize they're genius. There's a level of idolatry in our politics right now where if you're, depending on which side you're on, they're either geniuses or incompetent. In this case, there actually was a level of incompetence by Mike Waltz. What's notable is some of the loudest voices in the room want to off Pete Hegseth. They're grinding their axe against Hegseth. Let's just step back and look holistically at this situation. What actually is Signal? By the way, there are a lot of people who don't seem to understand what Signal is, and so they're offering wild theories that if they knew how the app worked, they wouldn't even offer up these theories. The number of people who think that somehow Jeffrey Goldberg added himself, the editor of The Atlantic, or it had to be malicious, or my favorite was some guy, some general, with West Point times, like, oh, this was clearly a effort to rope Jeffrey Goldberg in so he would relay information via back channel to the Europeans. Donald Trump gets on Twitter when he wants to back channel information. Stop trying to explain it away as if this was some brilliant masterstroke. It was rank incompetence. Donald Trump says it was a mistake. Mike Waltz admits it's a mistake. The others on the group chat say it was a mistake. The White House staff on background say it was a mistake. Can we not take their word for it that this was a mistake? Must we impute maliciousness? What so many people do is they impute maliciousness instead of incompetence. 9 times out of 10, it's incompetence, but we conclude because it's of the parties involved that it must be maliciousness. Never explain away something maliciously when incompetence explains it. But there are people who will go to bed in the United States tonight convinced that adding Jeffrey Goldberg to a group chat on Signal was maliciousness. Because if they thought it was incompetence, they would curl up in the fetal position and cry all night. They will sleep better believing evil is roaming the land than that we are governed by incompetent people. Again, people want to believe that we're governed under West Wing, the TV show, and really it's Veep, the HBO series that we're governed under. So Signal is a secure messaging app, and I got to tell you, if you read the Washington Post today, you would come away dumber trying to understand what Signal is. And in fact, I flagged the reporter. She got mad at me. This is actually what the reporter at the Washington Post wrote. Days after Donald Trump took office, Jonathan Kamens realized he couldn't speak freely in his 2 digital group chats with fellow government employees of the U.S. Digital Service. A friend cautioned that at least one of the group members might rat him out for warning the new administration would gut his agency. So Kamens started inviting colleagues one by one to join him in a group chat on Signal, a messaging app known for its security and privacy. Weeks later, and after being fired from his cybersecurity post, he is in 8 private Signal groups. 2 months into the Trump administration, there's a sweeping shift underway in Washington as federal workers and some high-level administration officials migrate their correspondence to Signal in a zeal for secrecy. Until now, Signal was mostly known among Silicon Valley geeks and global dissidents for leaving few digital traces. It was lightly used among federal bureaucrats until they embraced it after Trump's return to office as a tactic to shield communications. Y'all, that's a lie. I don't mean to call out a reporter for a lie, but I haven't been able to have a conversation with a partisan in Washington, Democrat or Republican, since the Obama era without using Signal. I hate using Signal. Signal is just one more thing. You know how many messages I get on a daily basis? Emails I get, direct messages on Twitter and Instagram, the text messages I get on my phone, the Signal messages I get. It's just one more thing, plus WhatsApp as well. So Signal is called an end-to-end encrypted messaging app. That means if you send something through Signal, only your phone and the person you intend to get the message can see it. So if the Russians and Chinese have compromised your phones, they may be able to see your Signal group chat. but they can't break into Signal and steal the inline communication as it's going through and see your group chat. It's very secure. In fact, the FBI, because the Chinese have compromised our telecom infrastructure, have been telling government officials to use WhatsApp, Signal, or iMessage in order to communicate. Now, iMessage is Apple's message. If it's iPhone to iPhone, you get the blue chat bubble. That blue chat bubble means you're end-to-end encrypted. That means Apple can't read your messages, and no government on earth can either. It's why the UK now, all your text messages are green chat bubbles, because the UK has forced Apple to compromise its encryption service. So Apple won't send encrypted messages in the UK right now. Otherwise, you get the blue encryption bubble. So for all the people saying this was an unsecure channel, it was unsecure because Jeffrey Goldberg got accidentally added, but it wasn't actually insecure. It's actually more secure than a lot of other systems right now, because the Chinese have infiltrated our telecom system. And beyond that, remember, during the first administration, multiple times deep state operatives opposed to Donald Trump leaked classified communications to embarrass Donald Trump or to get him impeached. So, of course, there's a natural desire for the Trump administration to want to use something like Signal, just like the bureaucrats in D.C. trying to go around Donald Trump are using Signal. This isn't an excuse. They shouldn't have added Jeffrey Goldberg. And in fact, there are systems in place for government officials to have classified conversations, and they probably should have used those systems. There's not a defense of it. There's no need for you to try to defend it, but there can't be this round condemnation of it, because this goes on. Democrats and Republicans alike in D.C., in and out of the administration, have been using Signal for years to have secure chats with each other. What's notable is inside the group chat, the people are exactly the way they are outside the group chat. J.D. Vance's antagonism for the Europeans inside the group chat is exactly like it is in public. Mike Waltz and Pete Hegseth's belief that the U.S. is the only superpower that can do certain things in the world and they need to get done and we should do them, that's reflected. There's certainly going to be an antagonism for J.D. Vance due to his hostility for the Europeans. In fact, the Wall Street Journal editorial page is lighting him on fire. And also, I got to say, all of these people using emojis, little prayer hands, and the strong arm and the American flag stuff, I don't understand why grown men continue to use emojis if they're a 16-year-old girl. No intelligence was compromised. No lives were put at risk. The operation was successful. And for all of you Democrats who are really, really upset about this, you do at least need to recognize the whole reason we're in this situation today is because Joe Biden had ample opportunity to deal with the Houthi, and he refused to deal with the Houthi. In fact, Joe Biden took them off the terror watch list. Joe Biden stripped them of their foreign terrorist designation, and they were able to get more money, and they've been using it to target American ships at sea. So the whole reason that Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance and Mike Waltz and Steve Whitloff and all these other people from the administration are having to have a group chat about what to do with the Houthis is because Joe Biden dropped the ball on doing anything with them. Now, Donald Trump is going to stand by Mike Waltz. He says Waltz is a good man. It's very early in the administration. This is the first oops they've had, and he's going to stand by him. I think that's the right decision. What's very, very notable is in the undercurrent of what happened last night, there's a pro-Hamas, very isolationist wing of people who love Donald Trump. They don't like Israel. They don't like Ukraine, and they are out to get Mike Waltz. They last night made a big deal about clearly Jeffrey Goldberg had to be added maliciously, or clearly Mike Waltz is leaking to Jeffrey Goldberg. That's why he had him. If you saw my phone, this isn't to brag. It's just to make a point, and I promise it's not to brag. I've got the phone numbers and private email addresses of a lot of famous people in my phone. I never contact them. I don't bother them. I don't use them. I just happen to have it. And if you're a reporter in D.C. or you're a congressman in D.C., that's very often the case. Mike Waltz was a prominent member of Congress. Of course, he had Jeffrey Goldberg. And when you launch Signal, it asks you if you want to import from your address book. It copies your address book over. Mike Waltz clearly wanted to add either a Jeffrey or a Goldberg. And when he started putting the name, he saw it, didn't think twice, added it. What's remarkable is that no one else in the group chat looked to see who was in the group. It's not that hard. I'm on a group chat with a bunch of world news opinion editors, and there are probably 25 people in the group chat. And you can click a button, and you can see the names of everybody in there. And if you don't know one, you can ask, who is this person? No one in the group chat thought to do that. This does kind of show there's a cavalier relationship between the media and politicians of both sides, that they freely trade information. Their circles interact so much that no one thought twice about Jeffrey Goldberg being in there. They didn't realize he was in there. He was easily added to the group chat. He was in Mike Waltz's Signal address book already. But also, we had Hillary Clinton's server. We had Joe Biden not dealing with the Houthi. We had the Afghanistan stuff. This isn't to excuse what happened. It is to put it in proper perspective. Keep your proper perspective here. This is not the worst thing ever. If you think this is, as I saw someone yesterday say, the worst foreign policy debacle the U.S. has made in decades, well, there are 13 dead soldiers in Afghanistan whose families would like to have a word with you for proper perspective. This wasn't some multidimensional chess genius move. Overnight, there were a bunch of people trying to defend this, that, no, honestly, this had to be done. They had to know it. No, they didn't. I know some of you will sleep well thinking that. There are others who believe it's proof that there was a malicious intent. There had to be maliciousness. No, you're confusing incompetence with maliciousness. It's what we do. It was a mistake. It's amateurish. There are secure means of communication that they should have used, and apparently they did use for major details. I don't necessarily believe that the bulk of the war plans were submitted through Signal. Jeffrey Goldberg, I think, might be puffing up some of this. He's certainly telling the truth about the group chat. The screenshots are confirmed to be true from the Trump administration. They did share key information, and to his credit, as much as I'm not a big fan of Jeffrey Goldberg's, he did not release the names of the CIA agents who were named. He did not release the means and methods of acquiring information that were named. He did not list the battle plans. He didn't do any of that. To his characterization of the war plans, I don't know. But here's the bottom line. This was a screw-up. Donald Trump admits it's a screw-up. He's standing by Mike Waltz. There's no reason to defend it. But also, we've had major screw-ups in prior administrations. And you know what? All of you people on the left who are outraged by this, had you bothered to speak up and hold people accountable for the debacle of withdrawing from Afghanistan, you'd have some credibility right now. But because you squandered your credibility to protect your precious then, you can shut up now.